We all know of the mainstream possession movies that everyone and their mom has seen. I'm talking about the movies like The Exorcism or the Conjuring franchise. Though some don't want to believe it, there are many hidden gems that just haven't had the exposure as some of the bigger franchises have, but they are still producing high-quality films. This list here is going to be 10 of the best lesser-known possession movies that you should check out if you enjoy the possession genre, which I'm guessing if you are watching this video, you are at least interested in it. You don't have to worry about anything being spoiled by watching this video, and you can go in with no idea how the movie finishes. These are just movie recommendations of mine that I really like, so I think others might enjoy them as well. I will put the movie timestamps in the description below along with any streaming services the movies are offered on as well. With that being said, here we go. Number 10. The Last Exorcism. 2010. Still questioning his faith in God, the once pious minister, Reverend Cotton Marcus, no longer believes in what he's been preaching his whole life. To prove that the purification rituals known as exorcisms are nothing more than elaborate hoaxes, Marcus decides to invite a documentary film crew to chronicle the last exorcism of his career before he moves on to real estate. Before long, the urgent plea for help of the desperate farmer, Louis Sweetser, will provide the perfect opportunity to clear things up, as he claims that malevolent spirits have taken possession of his young daughter, Nell. Of course, the staged routine is successful just like every other one for Marcus. However, that very same night, undeniable supernatural happenings start challenging the priest's skepticism. Could it be that a black demon has, indeed, possessed innocent Nell, and demons and possession could be in fact the real deal? The Last Exorcism is another possession flick, but it is so much more well done than you would expect it to be going in, especially with the limited budget the production was working with. Also, one of the creepier possession movies I have seen in some time, so that's always a plus. Number 9. The Exorcism of Emily Rose. 2005. Now I know this movie may sound familiar to you as it is a little more mainstream than most on this list, but people always tell me they have seen it. I then try talking to them about the movie and they don't remember a thing about it, and makes me wonder if they've actually seen or just thought they've seen it because they've heard the name before. This isn't your average possession flick because this one is almost a courtroom drama, as odd as that would seem for a possession movie, but boy is it a good time. The 19-year-old Catholic college girl, Emily Rose, dies a couple of days after being submitted to an exorcism carried out by her parish priest, Father Moore. Emily believed she was possessed by 6 demons, and although authorized by Emily and her parents, Father Moore is accused of negligent homicide since he had suggested Emily interrupt the use of epilepsy medications. In order to avoid a scandal, the archdiocese hires the successful, ambitious and agnostic lawyer Aaron Bruner, and the prosecution assigns the religious prosecutor Ethan Thomas. This story walks us through a passionate battle between science and religion in the courtroom. Please, if you haven't seen this one, go watch it this weekend, you won't be disappointed. Number 8. The Possession of Hannah Grace. 2018. Still struggling to cope with sensitive psychological issues after the death of her partner, the former Boston Police Department officer, Megan Reed, is trying to put her life back on track and finally move on. In high hopes of making a fresh start, Megan lands a job as the overnight intake assistant at a Boston hospital morgue, and on her first night, the cold, lifeless body of a brutally murdered young woman arrives named Hannah Grace. But, as Megan begins the procedure before storing the hacked corpse in the body freezers, mysterious things start happening, and swift movements catch her eye. Did the dead woman bring something otherworldly along with her? Indeed, this is going to be one long night shift. What's the story behind this body that strolled into the morgue on Megan's first night on the job? Talk about bad timing. The acting is really well done and believable, and I know people like to hate on jump scares if they are overdone or in bad places throughout the film, but they do a really good job with a few frightening jump scares in this one that got me a few times, not even gonna lie. Number 7. The Cleansing Hour. 2019. Millennial entrepreneurs Drew and Max run a YouTube show that streams live exorcisms that are, in fact, elaborately staged hoaxes, but they play off as if they are 100% real. But they get their comeuppance when today's actress becomes mysteriously possessed by a real demon that holds the crew hostage for the world to see. To make matters worse, the possessed victim is Drew's fiancée, Lane. In front of a rapidly growing global audience, the demon subjects Max to a series of violent and humiliating challenges meant to punish him for his online charade and to expose him for the fraud he is. Meanwhile, in an effort to save the love of his life, Drew discovers that the demon's sinister motive is not only about revenge, but also to expose the dark secrets he, Max, and Lane have been hiding from one another their whole friendship. With only the show clock remaining, it's a matter of time before either the truth is revealed or the demon forces them to meet their maker. This one is a nice, fun twist on the possession genre and takes into account how popular social media and streaming is in today's society. Everyone is tough as nails until they invite a demonic presence into their world, huh? Number 6. Apartment 143. 2011. The story revolves around Alan White and his daughter Caitlin and son Benny, who recently moved into apartment number 143 of an apartment building after experiencing strange things at their old home. The unusual disturbances continue to haunt them at their new home, and Alan asks a team of 3 parapsychologists, led by Dr. Hauser, to investigate what's going on as they feel they are being followed by a mysterious presence. We soon learn that Alan lost his wife in a car accident, and his daughter still blames him for it, and is not letting it go. Hauser and his team constantly witness the drama between the two as well as weird occurrences they were told about. They're able to catch it all on video as the investigation becomes more and more bizarre as the days go by. Aside from the very cliché ending that we get in this film, it's a decent found footage movie and is a good popcorn flick if you are just browsing around looking for something to watch. I wouldn't go rent it or anything, but if you can find it on streaming, go for it. Number 5. The Possession. 2012. The basketball coach Clyde and his wife Stephanie divorced a couple of months ago, and their teenage daughter Hannah and the girl Emily, also goes by M, live with their mother and spend the weekends with their father. One day, Clyde stops his car in a yard sale and Emily buys an antique carved box and becomes obsessed with it. She eventually finds the hidden lock and releases an evil spirit that soon possesses her. Soon Clyde discovers that Emily is not being her normal self, but his annoying ex-wife and her boyfriend Brett do not pay attention to him and get a restraining order against Clyde. Clyde then seeks out Professor McManus, and when he sees the box, he explains that it is a Dybbuk box, where a fiend is trapped inside. He also explains that the box should not be opened, otherwise the person will be possessed by the spirit. Now Clyde travels to a Jewish community in New York, and the rabbi's son Zadok returns with him expecting to exorcise Emily to save the girl. The Possession is a conventional movie of possession and exorcism, but is not a bad movie, with good performances and definitely worth a watch with the family, if they're into horror movies, that is. Number 4. When Evil Lurks. 2023. In a remote village, 2 brothers find a demon-infected man just about to give birth to evil itself. They decide to get rid of the body, only to end up unintentionally spreading absolute chaos. If you think this a run-of-the-mill demonic possession film, you would be sorely mistaken. There are no Catholic priests or churches, no crosses or holy water, no head spinning or no weird-looking body contortions. There are no Catholic demonic possession tropes to be found in this film, which is a huge breath of fresh air for one of the stalest subgenres in horror, admittedly. It's a movie about demons possessing people like a virus, and they have their own set of rules as to how they are dealt with, and a very specific way of expelling them. Honestly, it's this type of fresh and novel approach to filmmaking that makes the director, Rugna, a standout where other movie directors seem to fail so miserably. I'm looking at you, Exorcist believer. If more writers and directors took the time to take horror staples and twist them to make an original and unique creation, we would have a more vibrant and rich selection of horror movies. Have to give this one a watch ASAP, Rocky. Number 3. The Possession of Michael King. 2014. Filmmaker Michael King, played by Shane Johnson, doesn't believe in God or the devil or the supernatural. Following the sudden death of his wife, Michael decides to make his next film about the search for the existence of the supernatural, making himself the center of the experiment, allowing demonologists, necromancers, and various practitioners of the occult to try the deepest and darkest spells and rituals they can find on him, in the hopes that when they fail, he'll once and for all have proof that religion, spiritualism, and the paranormal are nothing more than just myth. But something does happen, obviously, because we wouldn't have a movie if not. An evil and horrifying force has taken over Michael King, and it will not let him go, and he's going to wish he never provoked this beast. If you are a fan of possession movies that incorporate superb special effects and disturbing imagery, this is the one for you. Number 2. Ouija: Origin of Evil. 2016. The Ouija movies get a bad rap, and while some of the hate is earned, Ouija: Origin of Evil is one of the best possession movies I have seen in years. Definitely 20 times better than the Ouija movie that came before it. But thankfully they aren't related in any way except for the title of the movie. In this prequel, Alice and her 2 daughters run a scam business in which they speak to the dead, for out of touch with reality customers. The mother justifies this business by telling her youngest daughter, Doris, that it helps people move on and get closure from the recently deceased. When her eldest, Lena, plays the new Ouija board game at a friend's house, she tells her mother to incorporate it into her act at home as it would bring good business. She does, and things take a sinister turn when a scam becomes reality and Doris becomes best friends with an evil spirit that is pretending to be her father. But we all know that would be too good to be true. Seriously, this is a great possession movie and I highly recommend giving it a watch if you haven't seen it. Number 1. Talk to Me. 2022. Okay, this movie is more mainstream than the others on this list, but it is fairly new and I'm sure there are people out there that would love this movie that haven't seen it. It was actually made by a pair of YouTubers and it is one of their first feature film projects, and boy did they knock it out of the park. When a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand for fun, they become hooked on the new thrill like it's a drug, until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces on one of the players. I don't want to go into detail too much and ruin the joy of the film, but I don't think I've seen one person that didn't enjoy this film. It has the right mix of comedy and horror, and I feel it will be a stone-cold classic when we look back on it in 10 years. Well, that is it for this list, my friends. Thanks for watching.